Police reform potentially on the ballot in the suburbs. A grassroots effort just launched in Shaker Heights.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what
Demanding action.
Like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is
And
what
change.
democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
We stand in unity as neighbors because of our collective belief in equality for Shaker Heights.
Shaker Citizens for Fair Ticketing launching a new campaign, a ballot initiative to reduce brutality and increase public safety. Their plan to add to the city's crisis intervention team, create a civilian oversight board, and to ensure transparency in police reporting.
They're common sense public safety reforms and, like an oversight board, transparency, and a new approach to patrolling. All of these you would only not do or not implement if we had something to hide.
We know that when police engage, that people are more likely to die, and we don't want that because it's unnecessary.
Campaign manager Ethan Carana and Jennifer Love Carter, the co-founder of the Shaker Heights Anti-Racism Coalition, kicked things off this weekend, pointing to city records and statistics, calling out an overwhelming percentage of tickets given to African Americans in Shaker Heights and use of police force against minorities on top of crime in Shaker.
Our city is now more dangerous than 40% of American cities.
The hope? To get the signatures needed to put change on the ballot.
A ballot initiative that will ensure an equitable city and move Shaker Heights forward.
Now, given this is the weekend, we've not yet been able to reach anyone within the administration at Shaker Heights PD or with the mayor's office.